creature like that, how would it ever die?
And this monster starts running right at me.
Annihilated by nuclear bombs.
Beast is not dead. I put 4 bullets into him.
Oh, you're crazy.
But I saw that monster too. All I want is for someone to believe me.
Contaminated.
Face. It's horrible. Look like it would scare you to death.
All right, let's get to work.
Beyond the shadows.
A man stepped in front of a camera in 1989 and claimed the United States government was hiding 9 alien spacecraft inside a mountain near Area 51. World's confusion. He said he was hired to understand technology not made by human hands, powered by an element the world had never officially seen. Decades later, no documents have fully proven him right. No investigation has fully erased him, and the name, Bob Lazar, refuses to disappear. Tonight, we ask whether he has exposed the greatest secret in modern history, or created,
Oh my, what a low voice you have. Hey,
or created the perfect lie. This week on the podcast, we're discussing Bob Lazar. Bob Lazar, the man who exposed Area 51. Let's get it.
Oh, gotta turn off so many sounds and start so many new sounds. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Hey, you lovely people.
How's it going? TTS is a little jumping tonight. TTS, hello. Blip is here. Worlds is here. We got the crew in here tonight. How y'all doing? We even got somebody in YouTube land watching tonight. Welcome in, YouTubers.
Dearest Victus, wonderful Hazel.
So glad you're here.
Lovely and amazing world.
Amazing Worlds of Confusion. I actually have a note to give you a shout out because you followed us on YouTube last week. So everybody give a big round of applause for Worlds of Confusion for the follow on YouTube last week. Thank you, Worlds. You're the best. You're the best. Awesome. Yeah, you're the best. Yeah, I still haven't found an audio clip for that yet. So now I have a space open. I cleared a space on the soundboard, and I'm taking recommendations for new sound clips.
Round face hurts from smiling right now.
Nothing wrong with smiling too much.
That's very
At
true.
all.
That's very true.
But yeah, we're taking recommendations for sounds for the soundboard. I'm gonna shuffle some things up. I'm getting rid of a couple of them. I've already cleared one off of the tape. Wow, my microphone is hot tonight. I am so sorry. Wow, I need to make a note of that. We did a little work with the layout a little bit on this week's news and paranormal scene, and so now I was able to automatically play that audio clip instead of having to manually do it every time we switch scenes. So now every time we switch scenes, the music automatically plays. Let me know if those audio levels are okay when we switch. So we've got one space open on the soundboard, and we're taking recommendations.
I vote for something Picard related.
Picard related? Like what?
I don't know. I mean, it could be engage.
Engage. Make it so. Make it so. We've been watching so much Star Trek this weekend.
We really have. Every time I came upstairs yesterday, you had it on.
Hello, I'm looking forward to this topic. Tea, Earl Grey, hot.
Yes.
James.
Yes, that was a good one too.
James Cap is here, everybody. Welcome in, James.
Can't watch too much Star Trek.
We're not like big on like sitting and watching TV, but we will leave the TV running just for like white noise. Well, that we're gonna pick something we like. We're not gonna leave like Married with Children running or something. So,
What an obscure reference for people who might listen to the show who have no idea what that is. But that's really funny.
I think Worlds and Blip, neither one of them are American, so they wouldn't know what Married with Children is. I don't think.
You probably don't want to waste your time.
Don't
with
waste
that
your
one.
time.
No.
It was a horrendous show. Oh, jeez. horrendous show, but we watched it, didn't we?
I've heard it referenced.
I mean, yes, we did, but that was before we knew better.
That was daytime.
When you know better, you do better.
Oh, no, that was primetime TV. So that was after dinner. You know, we finished eating growing up. This is like the 90s growing up. And so let me know if I'm not the only one who felt like this. So Al Bundy was the big actor in...
OMG, what a great
Oh,
quote.
definitely.
Uh,
Definitely.
So Al
Thank
Bundy...
you.
I'm sorry? What was it?
So I think Worlds might be talking about when you know better, you do better.
Oh,
But
okay.
maybe maybe she's not. I don't know, but that might.
Definitely
You
not
know,
talking
that's how I
about me.
feel.
I don't have any great
Because,
quotes.
you know, we grew up in the 90s.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you so much. We grew up in the 90s, and our, I think we both had the experience of being plopped in front of the TV.
Yep.
Yeah.
Dinner's done.
Yeah.
Go sit in front of the TV while whoever does the dishes does the dishes. But yeah, so let me know if you were in the same boat. So Al Bundy was the big actor in Married with Children. All right, everybody knows Al Bundy. Maybe I'm alone in this, and I've never told this to anybody. As a kid, I assumed that Al Bundy was Ted Bundy, the serial killer.
You know what? I mean, that's sort of fair because we just, before this episode, we were just talking about this time period that, you know, 1989 and Ted Bundy Ted Bundy was someone who was executed in 1989, right? So that's kind of fair because it's still fresh on everybody's minds in the 90s when we're growing up.
So, like, I knew the name. I knew who Ted Bundy was. You know, everybody knew who Ted Bundy was. Apparently, I dropped the Ted at some point, and I just remembered Bundy, because Bundy's a weird last name.
That's the first person I thought of when you said Bundy.
You know, and maybe that's where that reference came from, like, because we were just talking about Ted Bundy before we started broadcasting tonight, and then maybe you were like, oh, Married with Children. Yeah.
Subconsciously, I've tied the two together for some reason. I don't know why. I really don't know why, but I was always like, as a kid watching these episodes, and I'm like, isn't he supposed to be in prison? Didn't he kill somebody? And he's up there just acting like nothing happened. And I would get upset at the show, like him cracking jokes and being all like to the camera. And I'm like, no, he's a convicted
He gets to be
killer.
a shoe salesman now? What?
Amazing.
Yeah. So did you make that connection as a kid?
I
or?
don't know if I did or not. I don't know if I did or not. I just remember, like, really thinking that his wife was so cool. Like, Peg Bundy was so cool. And, like, she had the really cool outfits. Peg Bundy. Oh, what's the actress's name? I don't remember the actress's name.
Everybody knows her, though. She does the wife of Al Bundy in Married with Children is the woman who does the voice acting for Lilu in Futurama. What was so I get Al Bundy's wife mixed up with Nanny Fran.
Oh yeah, Fran Drescher, who's also
Drescher.
amazing. Icon from the 90s.
I'm Googling it now. Jeez. Wow. Yeah, I remember that hair.
Yeah, the hair was impressive.
Katie Sagal. Yeah. Yeah, Katie Sagal. Al Bundy. Yeah, that was his character's name. Like, why on earth would you give him... Yes, probably for that reason. You would give him that last name.
Maybe so.
Right? Some type of... Yeah, I don't know. She's done tons of stuff. Futurama. Oh, she was in Sons of Anarchy.
Yeah,
she
played the mom in Sons of Anarchy. Yeah.
I forgot she was in Sons of Anarchy. That was so good. I remember Shameless. I have not watched the live-action One Piece. She's in that. Oh, yeah, she was in Big Bang Theory. I did not remember her in Dirty Dancing. Any hoots.
So I don't think I've been on one where James has been here before. Is James new?
James is from YouTube Land.
Okay, so James, we are I don't know if you're new or not, but
Well, James
this
is
just
a regular.
happened. Okay.
He's
So
a
I was gonna
regular.
say this just happens sometimes.
We ramble.
So sorry, we're gonna get there.
No, this is fine. Honestly, if you ask me,
I'm new.
this
James,
is
so
a James, I don't think you've met the wife yet. This is my wife over here, Hazel, and
That's what Twitch
Hi,
is all about.
James.
that's what Twitch is all about. That's right. We, the format's changing a little bit. We're doing little things here and there. Geez, this red light is really buzzing us out a little bit, isn't it? Let's switch that up
This
a little
red
bit.
light
There
is
we
really
go.
red. Ooh,
That's a little bit
hey,
nicer.
I think you can. I don't think you could really see me before. I looked like I might be like some
You're so
swampland character.
You're so slouched right now. Your chair is so low. I can't bring my chair down because this is a stationary chair.
Hi there, YouTube peepers.
We only have one, and I'm sure it's just James. But James is regular. He's here pretty regularly, but he doesn't ever talk. He talks every now and again. They, excuse me. I'm not sure. People are particular these days.
Come
but
on over to Twitch. It's cooler over here.
it is much cooler over at Twitch. Lots of redemptions, like our new very favorite redemption, the Basil bass drop.
Basil bass drop.
I love that. That's all we gotta say now. It's a thing in the household where if he starts playing with his toys a little too loud, we'll be Basil bass drop. And we're like trying our
It's
best
very
to
vocal.
vocalize dubstep. We're very nerdy individuals. All right. Well, I'm so glad everybody's here tonight. We're gonna have so much fun tonight. So before we get going, I do need to mention, for clarification, last week we said that this week was going to be episode 100. Well, our math turned out to be wrong. This is not episode 100. Let me, if you give me just a half a second, I'm gonna bring up my calendar.
Which is also, just for the record, why we're not wearing onesies tonight.
Correct. I almost considered wearing a onesie just to appease the gods. Where's
I've been watching every week. You are a wonderful addition, Hazel.
there you go.
Aw, thank you, James. Thank you for watching. And thank you for being so kind to me. I like doing this. I like being here and meeting Victus's friends and, just hanging out.
Where's it at? Wait. There it is. The 17th should be episode 100.
The calendar notation says,
Hey,
should be
James.
episode 100. Exclamation
it should
point.
be episode 100. Yes. So May 17 should be episode 100.
Okay, and I will be here for that one because I will not be here for the last one you do in May. So you'll have to do that one
For the week after.
all by yourself.
It'll be all right. It'll be okay. We're totally fine. We'll hang out, have some fun, do what we do. No, this is good though. I like doing this like open format at the beginning because it gives us a chance to just talk. It humanizes us. It makes us normal people because that's what we are. We're just regular people. Admittedly, we don't chat this animatedly, but it's nice to have friends, vicariously in the room with us.
I am not a regular person.
You're not a regular person?
I'm a silly goose.
Oh, you're a silly goose. Silly goose on the loose. I know this for a fact. And yeah, it's nice to sit and just talk because we do not have social lives. We don't go anywhere. We don't do anything. This is social hour for us. So if we ramble a little too much, sorry. That's just the way it's going to be. Wait till Aeon comes back, because once he comes back, lots and lots of rambling. Speaking of which, today is Aeon's birthday.
Happy birthday.
I wanted like hell to get him in like a gaming session or something last night, and he wouldn't respond, so I'm sure he was very busy. His husband said that they had several days of parties scheduled. So we'll make sure, if any of you guys follow Aeon on Instagram or what have you, give him a shout, say happy birthday. I'm sure he'll appreciate it. Let him know we sent you. But yeah, hopefully for too long we're gonna have him back, and there's gonna be all sorts of rambling. We're doing so each act is about 1,000 words. I imagine once Aeon comes back, we're gonna probably cut that in half to about 500. Because I would rather I think it's more conducive for an investigation for us to hash out details in conversation format as opposed to let me read 15, 20 pages of script and then we'll talk at the end. I don't think that's not conducive. It's not how you would.
Yeah, we have to hash it out. We have to talk it out. You have to try to convince me.
And just wait, because Aeon is so smart. And a lot of people, like, I don't think you realize how smart he is. Wait till you hear him, like, in the podcast, like, talking about just anything. Like, I could mention one thing and he'll just, boom, he'll know. Like, I'll mention a particle accelerator. Oh, well, do you know how that really works? Let me explain it to you right quick. And he'll break it down for you. He knows every little piece. He can tell you what size nuts and bolts they use to hold the particle accelerator together. He knows the speeds. I mean, he knows so much stuff that it's amazing. And that's why he was brought into the podcast. Well, among other reasons, but he's my best friend other than you. But he's smart and he's objective. And I needed that. I mean, let's look at the last season and a half that I did by myself. It was all paranormal. This is real. This is real. This is real. This is real. Well, back when Alan was here, it was always like, oh, well, maybe this one's not real. And then he would talk and try to justify how it's not real. Well, you're filling those shoes now because you are the skeptic now. However, I do my best to use what evidence we have, and I try to be objective, but I really, really want the world to be full of paranormal things. I really do. You know, I think he actually said some of the things that you said last week. That's one of the things you liked about me, how you like that I believe that there's these things in the world could be possible, and he said the same thing. He's told me before, he's like, look, if you were gay, you would have trouble keeping me away from you. And I was like, well, I'm not. He's my bro. We go way back. It would be like dating your brother at this point. That wouldn't work
I
out.
want there to be ghosts and a Chewbacca and a monster in that mess.
You see, it's keeping that wonder alive. It's like keeping the child part of yourself alive. And that's what I reach for, is I like worlds. I believe that these things could happen, but once I see the evidence, it's kind of hard, you know.
I mean, I want there to be ghosts for sure, and I also want there to be vampires.
Good. Please keep keeping it alive.
Vampires? Yeah, we didn't we cover vampires in season 2? I think we did. Yeah, no, it was either season 2 or early season 3. We covered vampires. And I think I came down on a no.
Yeah, I mean, I would have come down on a no as well, but it doesn't change that I want that to be a thing.
Right. Keep that wonder alive.
Yeah.
Keep it alive. You got to.
Specifically, like Anne Rice vampires.
Yeah, the sexy ones.
Like, yeah.
The ones that don't.
Your mirrored BTW.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We, oh, wait. Yeah, the video is mirrored. Oh, shoot. When did that get flipped? Shark is here, everybody. Everybody say hi to Shark while I flip the camera around. Oh, there's so many sources in this scene. Okay.
Hey, Gummy.
Is it this one? Oh, I always get it wrong.
At Worlds of Confusion, hey.
Okay, so somebody explained to me, and this is a problem I've always dealt with, because I was a big proponent of Photoshop early on. Like, I remember in high school, like 2000, 2001, playing with Photoshop and loving Photoshop, and I would flip and mirror images, and same thing with OBS, is I would, you know, it just gets flipped sometimes. I don't know why it flipped from last week, but you can go to transform and says flip horizontal. Well, you would think a flip horizontal would be like this, right? Like flip you upside down. No, flip horizontal goes this way. But if you flip vertical, it goes this way, not vertically. I don't understand. I've never understood why. So it's like that in Photoshop. It's
Horizontal is left to right.
it's. I guess that
Vertical
makes
is
sense.
Down and upward.
I know. Just it seems like
So wait, so what you're saying is when it says flip horizontal, you expect it to stay the horizontal, but flip
yeah.
to the other way horizontally.
So I'm thinking
I
of
get what you mean, though.
I'm thinking like horizontally, like that is your axis that you're flipping.
That's a very
Like it's
confusing.
like that's your pivot point is your horizon line. So it would flip end over end, not side to side. I don't know. I'm weird. I'm weird, and I always do that. I'll look and I'll be like, "Oh, I'm backward." So I do the same thing as I did just then. I'll flip horizontal,
Makes sense.
or I'll flip vertical, and it'll be backward. So then I got to undo it, and then I don't know. I'm crazy. Welcome in, Shark. I'm glad you're here.
Something you learn with depth. It happens.
Thanks for being here, Shark. We missed you. It's been a little while. How you been? I hope and trust everything is well. We have an amazing show tonight. We are covering Bob Lazar. We're going to get pretty deep. So,
Yeah, sorry. Been partaking in a protest a couple of Sundays and then also exhausted beyond belief from work lol.
yeah, I understand. Be safe out there. I know you're kind of in a hot spot. Not going to dox you or nothing, but I know you're in an area that's heavily affected. So be careful, please. I've been seeing your posts and talking about protests.
Hi, dummy WB.
Be careful out there. That's all. That's all I ask.
At I3 lip high thanks.
So yeah, last night I watched the new S4 Bob Lazar movie. This what gave me the inspiration for tonight's episode. I don't. Oh my gosh, who's spamming us? Who's spamming us? Where's that coming from? Wait, Automod, way to go! Way to go, Automod. Yeah. Deny. Thank you. Automod's getting better on Twitch.
It's a protest about a place who parades to be a LGBT safe space but then proceed to have transphobic incidents. Now, they're lying, double downing, and manipulating. I don't know if they're truly gonna follow through though. Way to go, Automod.
Yeah, it seems, unfortunately, it seems the state of the country right now is that in general, isn't it? Just, she will have tons to say. She's a little bit more active in the community than I am.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess really though, I don't know that I necessarily have tons to say, but other than I'm grateful that there are people like you, Shark, who are going out and you know, letting people know that that's not okay. I mean, if you're going to be a safe space, then you have to be accountable to have a safe space for the people you're trying to protect. And, you know, that means making hard decisions, having hard conversations, and doing the right thing. And that's, you know, I mean, and really doing the right thing in this case is a no-brainer. Making sure you're protecting LGBT plus people and, you know, making sure that they have a safe space to exist and be part of the community. We know that, but you know, unfortunately, there are people who
I'm
don't
part
know
of
that.
the LGBT. We wouldn't have our rights if it wasn't for the trans population. So fucking yeah. Pisses me the fuck off. And yeah, protecting my peoples.
Absolutely. Yep, absolutely.
It comes down to the common sense, if you ask me. Common sense and respect for people, regardless of anything. Like, I work with a bunch of Trump supporters. I do. I know this, but when you get him, oh geez, stupid ads. When you get him in a one-on-one conversation, like I would tell them, "Hey, my best friend's gay," and they're like, "Yeah, that's cool, man. I mean, yeah, whatever. It's just like that's that's the exactly the mind frame you need to have. Is yeah, it's cool. What is it?
But that's the mind frame you need to have when you're in conversation with people who are not going to be, when it's a different conversation, like when you're going to, and so that's the mind frame they always need to have. And they always need to say people are people and they deserve to live and love who they love. And I mean, so yeah.
I think it's why I like science fiction so much. Because it's always set in the future, especially like Star Trek. Like, think about Star Trek. It's set so far in the future where we don't argue about anything anymore. We don't care what people do with themselves, how they carry themselves, what their orientation is, what their sexual preference is. They don't care about any of that. And when it comes to science fiction, it's all about, here's what we've got a problem that is not affecting a minority group or a specific group. It's affecting the entire planet. So we need to come together, and they do. And then they don't, they look past shit. And I think, part of the reason why, like...
Okay, back.
Welcome back. We're rambling still. Part of the reason why you see a lot of remakes of older science fiction movies where they change, like, race people, they change race of characters, or they change sexual orientations of characters. They're really driving that idea of one people fighting together against the common enemy. And I think it's a huge takeaway from science fiction is, the squabbling is gone. We're not squabbling over religion or rights or, just treating each other right. They always say, oh, well, the earth has been peaceful for 150,000 years now, so we don't, war is so unheard of. It's, I don't know, do a deep dive in science fiction. You'll see it. It's an underlying theme. It always has been. And I think that's why I love science fiction, because there is a sense of real peace there. Worldwide peace. At that.
I mean, and I think science fiction as a genre is good for that, as long as that, like you talked about earlier, that there is representation and it's paved in the same exact light as it is for every, like it's but the representation part should be there. And I think that's why we like Star Trek and some other shows so much.
And that's the reason why I really like Orson Scott Card. I recently, well, I don't read, but I do a lot of audiobooks. I listened to Ender's Game again for like the 1015th time a couple months ago, and had a fantastic postword? What's where the author talks about the book after the book's over?
Oh, gosh.
Not a postscript.
No. Why did that word just leave my brain? Afterward,
something like that. Anywho, it's Orson Scott Card.
Epilogue.
Is it epilogue? It just said in the audio form. It said notes from the author. It's what it said before he started talking. They actually got Orson Scott Card to come in and record some stuff, and he was very, very, very particular about who he approved to be the director for Ender's Game. And at the time of them recording the audiobook, they had just signed the contract for the movie Ender's Game, and they wanted so badly to Hollywoodize that movie and include a love interest. But if anybody listening ever read the books, you know that Ender is really like 7 years old. 7-year-olds don't need love interest. Stuff like that. It comes down, and I really, really respect Orson Scott Card for this, because he turned down like Universal Studios because they wanted to change things, and he said, no, I'm not changing anything about my book. It's written the way it's written for a reason, and I love it, and that's the way it should be represented, and I don't want any changes made. And I mean, they did make some changes. He originally didn't actually want any female characters in the Space Academy, and they reluctantly brought one in for the movie, but thankfully it wasn't a love interest. But it was like, it was done tactfully. It was done well. And I think Orson Scott Card, go out and go out and purchase an Orson Scott Card book because dude he's a purist. Loves that science fiction. Loves science fiction. Great novelist. Absolutely.
Have we even introduced ourselves?
We haven't. Before we introduce ourselves, one more small sidebar. All right, so have you read Ender's Game?
Yes, but it's been a while.
Did you know that there's 5 other books in the series? Have you read any of the others?
I don't think so, but we have all of them downstairs. Yeah.
So the sequel to Ender's Game is called Speaker for the Dead, and it is the one science fiction novel out of all of them that I've read in my entire life that has made such a profound impact on me that I have taken a core concept from that book and I want to apply it to myself when I pass. So the concept is Ender becomes what is called the Speaker for the Dead, a religion that pops up around him where he will show up at a planet, and if somebody dies, they can request a speaker, and the speaker gets to know the individual, the good and the bad, and at their funeral, he will say every single thing, good or bad, about that individual. And he lets everyone decide for themselves, the quality of that individual. But at the end, he will remind everybody, sure, this person did bad things, this person did good things, but in the end, they were a person and they demand respect. And this is what we're here for, just to respect the individual. We're here to understand and accept the person, who they were in their life through everything that they've been through. And we appreciate everything that he's done, the good and the bad. It's a very, very deep rabbit hole. I think there's like 400 something pages in Speaker for the Dead where they're talking about the speaker and the religion around the Speaking for the Dead. And that's something I wanted. I don't know anybody that does it, but
That sounds pretty cool.
But I would love at my funeral for somebody to show up and announce themselves as the speaker and just give a synopsis of my life, just like he does in Speaker for the Dead. And it's always been a thing since I've read the second book, and it's just, go read Speaker for the Dead. It's so much better than Ender's Game. It's so much better. It's phenomenal. And it was that book that made me decide I need all of these other books. Admittedly, I haven't read the last one, but still phenomenal series of books. Go read Ender's Game.
Humanist eulogy.
Absolutely. And that's what you expect when you pass, is you want a real, unfiltered look at an individual's life. Because you don't know what the person's been through. You don't know their personal struggles, what happened in their life, what shaped them to be the person they are today. And I've been through a lot. I've been through a lot. And, a lot of bad. But on the flip side of that, if it wasn't for the bad, I wouldn't be the person I am today. And many years ago, I would be sitting around with friends and we'd be talking, and like, if you could go back and change things, would you change it? And I would always say no, absolutely not, because I'm happy with
there in honesty and vulnerability and respect for existence.
Yes, that is exactly what it is. That is almost verbatim what they say in Speaker for the Dead. But I would never go back and change the bad things I've been through, because I can appreciate the person I am today because of those bad things. And I got that from a science fiction novel. Did you know that? Did you know any of that stuff?
No, I didn't know any of that stuff.
I thought I told you about the Speaker for the Dead
I
stuff.
don't think so. I don't think you did.
Oh, well,
Yeah, now I know.
you learned something about me.
Yeah, now I know.
You
Now I
want to be
know.
buried in that plant pod thing, and that's what I want to do. I don't care where you bury me or what you do with me afterward, but I want to.
I want to be buried. I want to have a shroud, and I just want to be laid to rest in a natural burial ground in the shroud made from my grandma's quilts. And that's it. And let the earth take me back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's places that'll do it.
I want
Yeah.
to be cremated and released into the ocean.
That's what my mom wants too, Shark. Yeah, that's a good one.
There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with being cremated. I will say that. I know you don't want to be cremated.
I don't, but the reasoning behind me not wanting to be cremated is kind of ridiculous because, like, I'll be dead, but I just don't want to be cremated to go through that process.
You don't want to be burned up?
Get
I'm like-
mushroom burial suits that are all eco-friendly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we looked into all of that
Yeah.
stuff. There's some crazy things that you can do. Honestly, I don't care where you stick me. Just get a speaker. That's all I want. And
I love how you're saying it like that, like you're gonna be the first one to go.
Personally,
Like I don't think
want
that's
a
true.
pyramid, but that's just me.
Hey, you're gonna Nicolas Cage it? Nicolas Cage, jeez, don't get me started on his burial plot. Oh my gosh, ugh, that man's got some crazy stuff going
I
on.
do wish I didn't hurt the people I did in my past. That might be my only real regret. Otherwise, it is what it is.
You know, it's the great thing about getting older and realizing that you've hurt people is the fact that you've realized that you've hurt people. So many people go through their lives and think that they were in the right their entire lives. And, you know, regret and remorse is an entirely healthy human emotion. And unfortunately, a lot of people lack the capacity for that. And, you know, that's what makes us human is the capacity for remorse and you know, regret. You know, unfortunately, we do regret some of the things
And
that have happened in our
realizing that it's
lives.
part of how you learn.
Exactly. That's how you learn. That's how you become a better person in your life is through the bad times and making poor decisions. We've all done it. We've all done it. Any hoots. Enough of our rambling. We haven't even cleared the introduction for the podcast yet. Oh, geez.
40 minutes in.
40 minutes in. That's fine. You know, I said at the beginning, I'll say it again. I would rather do the talking. Welcome, everybody, to this week's episode of This Paranormal Life. There I go again. Of Beyond the Shadows podcast.
Yes, aliens and stuff.
I am Victus,
I'm Hazel.
and this is Beyond the Shadows podcast. We are your personal, professional paranormal investigators, and this is the greatest paranormal podcast in the world, as long as you don't fact check it. Hazel, how you doing?
You know, I'm very relaxed. I had I'm gonna probably mispronounce this, ashwagandha tea and my magnesium before because I was like, I just feel like that's what I need in my life. So I'm very relaxed and laid back tonight. How are you, Victus?
I'm good. I had a great time doing research for this episode.
Said it right, I think.
Yes, ashwagandha. I'm pretty sure that's how it's pronounced.
I thought that it was, but I was like, well, I'm not 100% sure.
I've heard it pronounced so many different ways.
Yeah. But thank you, Shark. I appreciate the vote of confidence.
Ashwagandha, DWAH.
Ashwagandha. Yeah, that's right. So I did do some afterthought research for tonight, which was watching the S4 documentary. Aside from what you saw last night before you went to bed at like 8 o'clock,
I fell asleep.
what do you know about Bob Lazar?
He seems very smart. And but no, I mean, I saw a little bit of the video last night, and he would, the things he was talking about every time I would tune in. So I laid down on my acupressure mat, which is what I do just about every night. I skip a night every now and then.
90% of nights.
But when I lay down on that acupressure mat, I fall asleep on it almost every single time. And so I was so out of it by the time we got part of the way through the movie.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that I don't want to spoil anything, but I was awake for the part where he was talking about the different types of ships in that area that you showed me on the map.
Yeah, we're going to touch on that tonight, by the way.
And I know that, he testified that he had seen these things in 1989. And we talked a little bit about before the show what was going on in the world in 1989 and the U.S. specifically, some things that, could have been trying to distract from. But other than that, I really don't know a lot about him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you're in for a doozy because tonight's crazy. Bob Lazar is the reason we have the word whistleblower. He is the OG. He's the original whistleblower. We're going to get into all of that. But first, we get to switch over to our fancy new scene for this week's News and Paranormal. Are you ready for this week's News and Paranormal?
I am ready.
Let's do it. All right. So welcome back to this week's News and Paranormal, the part of the show where we dig through the strange headlines, the unexplained claims, and the stories making people ask, what the hell is really going on? First and foremost, we have new UAP footage sparking online debates. Fresh, unidentified aerial footage circulated online this week after witnesses claimed strange lights were filmed moving over the southwestern United States. Supporters say the objects showed abrupt directional changes, silent movements inconsistent with aircraft. Skeptics argue the video quality is too poor to rule out drones, lens distortion, or military activity. As always, blurry footage keeps the internet employed.
I don't want to read the second one. I want to read the third one. Can you read the second one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Why don't you want to read the second one?
Because the third one is better.
Okay, fine. So next up, we have former intelligence officials continue disclosure pressure. Several former government and intelligence figures again called for greater transparency regarding UAP investigations, saying too much information remains buried behind classification walls. Public interest has grown steadily since recent hearings, and pressure continues for clearer answers. Whether it leads to real disclosure or another stack of redacted paperwork remains to be seen.
I'm taking 3 and 4. Haunted Doll Museum reports surge in visitors. A paranormal museum featuring allegedly haunted objects reported a major spike in attendance after viral videos on social media highlighted one particular doll said to move on its own. Staff claim visitors have reported nausea, cold spots, and strange dreams after seeing it. Critics say it's excellent marketing with a side of suggestion. Ghost hunters claim activity at an abandoned hospital. A regional investigation team released footage from an abandoned hospital showing unexplained knocks, distant voices, and a door that appeared to move during an overnight session. Believers are calling it compelling evidence of residual haunting. Skeptics point out that old buildings make noises constantly, especially when ghost hunters are waiting for them to.
And astronomers detect unusual repeating signal. Researchers studying deep space data acknowledged a repeating signal pattern that initially drew attention online. Scientists caution there is currently no evidence of extraterrestrial origin and that natural explanations are still most likely, which of course means the internet has already decided aliens sent it.
Nevada tourism again leans into Area 51 fever. Tourism around Area 51 continues to grow as curiosity around UFO culture remains strong. Local shops, roadside attractions, and themed events are cashing in on decades of mystery. Somewhere, a gift shop owner is thanking Bob Lazar personally.
And that has been this week's News and Paranormal, where the truth is always out there, but usually buried under bad video quality and sponsored merchandise. I didn't realize that our background music was still monitoring in that scene. So we had a weird mix of 2 different musics playing at the same time. Did was the music levels okay in that scene? Was there too loud, too quiet? I adjusted it accordingly, but I could not hear what y'all hear.
I took the ghosties from you.
That's fine. I talked extensively for almost an entire season about haunted dolls, so you can have them.
They were subtle enough that I did not notice any doubling.
Okay, cool. Sounds good to me. If you like it, I love it. So
who'd you call this week?
who did I call? Did you really want to know who I called?
Who did you call?
It wasn't the Ghostbusters. So I do have a plan for this segment. I want to get like an old landline phone, and I want to use the handset as a microphone.
Man, we used to have one too, and we got rid of it because we weren't using it. We can antique store trip.
There is a there's a very specific type that I've been looking for about a year now. Because it has it's got a cool sound to it. But it would make this whole segment just so much better. And like my plan is to like have it in the background, like here on a table. And then when we get to this segment, like I want to have the conversation on the phone and, you know, lead into this segment. So I've got plans. Just you wait and see. We're making things happen. So this week I called the man, the myth, the legend, the original, the OG whistleblower himself, Bob Lazar. So I called him up and I'm like, hey, Bob, we're going to do this episode on you. He's like, are you the Victus, the one from This Paranormal Life? Or This Paranormal Life? Oh my gosh. Are you the Victus? The one from... I need to stop listening to that podcast.
The one from the podcast that you've been doing for almost 100 episodes.
Yeah.
But you don't know the name.
Are you the Victus from Beyond the Shadows podcast? And I said, yeah. He's like, I'm glad you finally called. Because look, if you're going to do an episode on me, you need to be careful. And I said, why do I need to be careful? He said, you don't even know. Government's going to come at you. They're going to do you like they did me. They're going to shoot at your tires. They're going to follow you. They're going to do everything else. But before I tell you all about this, I need to know one thing. And I was like, what is it? He's like, you got to be careful. Is this a secure line? I said, yeah, it's a secure line. Like, I need to know. I need to know. What shirt are you wearing today? We have too much fun with this. I love this part. I used to dance to this, but now I'm getting old.
I still do a little dance to it. Most weeks.
Oh, there we go. World's dancing. That'll work. So I am wearing my one of my very favorite Sonic the Hedgehog t-shirts tonight.
I love this shirt.
It's a very comfortable shirt. So this is one of the few that's like the fabric is like extra soft and feels good on the skin.
Yeah, that was my jam on Sega. That was
yeah.
the game I played.
I remember it wasn't long after we moved in here, you had the Sega hooked up for a little while and all you played was Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah, and you know, when I played it as a kid, and really it was like more preteen, it was when one of Avril Lavigne's albums came out, and I can't remember which one it was. I would know if I was playing the game because Sonic the Hedgehog has some very distinctive music that you can pick out anywhere, but it always gets the Avril Lavigne songs from that album stuck in my head, even though I'm not, because I would always listen to that while I played Sonic the Hedgehog. So yeah, that was that. But
so what shirt are you wearing today?
I am wearing a shirt that Victus bought for me.
Oh wait, let me bring my mouse over here.
Let's see. And it's very appropriate for me. You can't see the bottom.
Oh wait, hold on.
Yeah. Guess who's on new meds? I'm gonna have a Bob's Burgers sort of streak because that's the main shirt collection I own.
Totally fine. We love Bob's Burgers.
But yeah, we love Gail too. So
Gail is the greatest.
yeah.
Guess who's on new meds?
Yeah. Yeah. Yay. I like wearing this shirt. So sometimes I have to drive like 6 hours to go home and visit my grandparents. And I walk through town. And the last time I went, I had this shirt on and I was like, I bet people are driving by going, let's just keep going. Let's just keep going. But yeah.
No, we love our Bob's Burgers in this household. But we have a Bob's Burgers shrine in our living room. We do. A shrine, literal shrine.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's got lots of little doodads and baubles and a big old poster behind
Big
it.
old poster.
And the little golden book of Bob's Burgers.
Yeah. We bought the Golden Spine, the children's book of Bob's Burgers, the alphabet, wasn't it? All right. Since we spent so much time dilly-dallying from in the beginning here, I gotta use the bathroom.
To be fair, I do too because I just finished my.
All right,
teas.
so we're gonna take a quick bathroom break. For those of you that actually pay attention during the Be Right Back screen, we've got a whole bunch of new videos for the Be Right Back screen. So enjoy those while we go and use the restroom because we are middle-aged adults and we have to use the restroom regularly. Be right back. Don't go anywhere. We're going to get into this Bob Lazar investigation. Some of the most sensitive on Earth. It also made secrecy non-negotiable. The officers stationed at Roswell weren't rookies. They were trained to identify foreign aircraft, classify intelligence, and respond quickly to anything that threatened national security. They lived in a world of protocols, codes, compartmentalized information. Mistakes weren't just embarrassing, they were dangerous. Which is why what happened next still raises eyebrows nearly 80 years later. Poking his head through the window. Yeah. Fucking nightmare fuel. Absolutely nightmare fuel. So strange that we're seeing a barn owl in an area where they're not even supposed to be. I assumed it was a snow owl. I was wrong. So yeah, a weird parallel drawn between individual cases where people are saying they're seeing a barn owl and it's looking through their window, or they're seeing it outside, or it's in a place where they can see it clearly through their window, right? And not but moments. What disturbed families the most was how many victims had expressed fear shortly before they vanished. Some told loved ones they hadn't been sleeping well. Others spoke about strange dreams or waking up frozen in place. A few mentioned shadows in their rooms or were present watching them. These weren't stories told years later after memories faded. Many were shared days, sometimes hours before the person disappeared. Modern society internalizes it. We call it misinterpretation, cognitive bias, or environmental effect. We explain it through physics and psychology. But the outcome remains the same. A person stands at the edge of dark water. They hear something unusual, or they believe they do, and they focus on it. They move closer. And the difference between myth and modern report is mostly language. And release the Epstein files, damn it.
I say EPIs to bypass blockers.
Right, yeah, I get it. Yeah. Yeah, so if this podcast doesn't come back next week, it's because the government shut down our podcast. So I used the full word Epstein. Oops. Oopsies. We've returned. Hello, friends. Before we get too far into it, I want to pull up one little thing. I took a picture while you were in the bathroom. Here's our Bob Burger shrine. We told you it was a shrine. It's a legit shrine. Yep, that's us. We're weirdos. This is what y'all signed up for. Don't be upset. This is the way we are. Don't be upset.
It's pretty great. It's definitely like one of the spots we're most proud of in our home.
I knew Worlds was going to appreciate that. This video is not sponsored by Bob Burgers. All right. Well, are you finally ready to get into Act 1 an hour later?
Yes, please.
Okay, we're going to do our best to do this thoroughly and not drag it on too long. You know, I was thinking about it while you're in the bathroom, all 15 seconds. But we could do a two-parter.
You did a lot in 15 seconds.
Oh, I know. But we could do a two-parter out of this if it does drag on a little too long, which is fine. We'll see what happens. If the conversation does drag out a little bit, which is fine. Those of you listening tonight are welcome to comment and get into the conversation. Y'all on YouTube too. The speech chat is active for YouTube as well as Twitch. Y'all are welcome to get into the conversation. To give you an idea, we're going to read a little bit, and then at the end of the act, we're going to talk about the previous act. So if you want to chime in at the end of the act, please, if you would, kindly. And, if the conversation drags out a little further, that's fine. We'll do a two-parter. There is a lot to take in here, so if this does turn into a two-parter, it turns into a two-parter. I'm not upset, because that's the whole script is written, and if I don't have to do any extra work next weekend, that would be just fine.
Yeah. Sounds good to me.
So, two of those already, and we haven't even started the script. Oh my gosh. I'm not upset. These taste delicious. Don't you make that face at me?
Those things might be related. Two of those, and we haven't even started the script.
This is my social lubricant. I'm not great at public speaking in any form or capacity. That's why I drink when we do the podcast. It's my social lubricant. All right. Y'all ready to get in Act 1? We're going to start talking about Bob Lazar. This is Act 1, everybody. The man before Area 51. I didn't say my thing. This is Season 3, Episode 16 of Beyond the Shadows podcast. Bob Lazar, the man who exposed Area 51. This is Act 1, everybody. Act 1. The man before Area 51. So before the world linked Bob Lazar to alien spacecraft, secret bases, and one of the most debated stories in UFO history, he was simply a man with a reputation of loving machines. And that matters because every mystery, like the rises or falls of personal telling, if the witness has no credibility, the story dies early. If the witness remains believable enough, the story can live on for decades. Bob Lazar was born in 1959 and grew up during the Cold War, where science and secrecy shaped American culture. Nuclear facilities existed behind fences. Experimental aircraft flew in restricted skies. The government openly admitted some secrets while hiding others. For many people raised in that era, the idea that something extraordinary might be hidden in the desert did not sound impossible. Ooh, way to go, Automod. Oh. Hold on. Yeah, I don't know who that is. People who knew Lazar in his early years often described him as technically minded and fascinated by engineering. He became known for working on engines, electronics, and unusual projects. One story that followed him involved a car fitted with a jet engine. Small sidebar, it was his wife's Honda Civic hatchback that he fitted with a jet engine that he still has today, and it is glorious. I'm gonna show you a picture. I gotta show you. It was in the documentary last night, and it is glorious. This man knows his stuff. Uh-oh. We dropped frames bad there for a second. I think your internet went out for just a second. Ooh, our connection's getting bad. Come on. Come on, internet. Do your thing. It hasn't kicked us yet. It's trying. Hold, please. We're going to wait just a beat until Our connection stabilizes.
Yeah, you Bugford for a sec.
Okay, everything look good now? Everything back up? Oh yeah, we're showing green now. Good deal. Okay. So yeah, the jet engine, or the jet car they were talking about, was his wife's Honda Civic, and he legit turned her car into turned her car into a jet car. I need to show you this. Yes, he literally did this. He still has it, and it is pristine and immaculate. They showed it in the documentary. You only need to go out and watch S4. Let's see. Whether it was brilliance or recklessness, it helps create a public image that would later matter a lot. He did not look like a mystic or attention seeker. He looked like a smart eccentric who liked building dangerous things, and that image became one of his strongest assets. When someone claimed to have seen ghosts, audience expect candles and seances. When someone claims to have studied advanced propulsion system, it helps that they already seem like the type of person who spends weekends modifying engines in a garage. Lazar later said he attended Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT, and California Institution of Technology. Those claims would become one of the most controversial part of this story. Journalists and investigators later searched for records supporting his education and found little that conclusively confirmed it, which we'll get in that. Critics saw that as devastating. If he lied about elite academic credentials, then everything else became suspect. Supporters argued the opposite. They believed that Lazar worked on classified programs and records would have been altered or erased. And this is the pattern that defines the Lazar case. Almost every weakness can be interpreted two ways. Missing records can mean deception, but missing records can also mean a cover-up. Lazar also claimed ties to Los Alamos National Laboratory. Unlike some other parts of his background, there are traces connecting him to the lab in some capacity. His name reportedly appeared in the directory, and records suggest contractor involvement, and that detail became another battlefield. Critics say contractors' ties do not make him a physicist. He may have been a technical support role or another job less dramatic than later implied, but supporters say it proves that he was inside real scientific environments and had access to serious research culture. Again, the story lives in uncertainty, and by the 1980s, Lazar was living in Nevada, close to the world that would make him famous. The Nevada desert already carried an aura of secrecy. Restricted military land stretched across miles of empty terrain. Warning signs marked roads that the public could not use. Strange aircraft were rumored to fly overhead even without aliens. The region was full of genuine classified activity, and that part is important. People often dismiss stories like this because they sound impossible. But secret military technology is real. Experimental aircraft once sounded impossible too, but programs remained hidden for years before the public even learned their names. So when someone claimed there was an even deeper secret hidden inside an already secret world, many people were willing to listen. And timing helped him. The late 1980s were full of distrust toward official narratives. Americans had lived through scandals, covert operations, and repeated examples of government secrecy. The public knew authorities sometimes lied or withheld information, and that made extraordinary claims harder to dismiss outright. And then Bob Lazar stepped forward. His earliest media appearances felt raw and dangerous rather than polished. He first appeared anonymously, hiding his identity while describing a hidden facility near Area 51, where alien craft were supposedly stored and studied. The anonymity added instant tension. If he was lying, why hide? If he was telling the truth, what was he afraid of? Soon after, he revealed himself publicly. and the story spread fast. Today, Area 51 is a household name. In 1989, it was nowhere near that level of mainstream awareness. It existed more as a rumor than a pop culture icon. Lazar helped drag it into public conversation. Another reason people listened was his demeanor. He often spoke calmly and matter-of-factly. He did not usually sound like someone selling religion, prophecy, or fantasy. He sounded like a man describing a technical job assignment. And that tone persuaded people. But calm delivery is not evidence. Truthful people can sound nervous. Dishonest people can sound confident. Tone can create belief, but it cannot prove facts. And as years passed, critics pointed to inconsistencies, missing credentials, the lack of hard evidence. Supporters pointed to suspicious gaps, alleged intimidation, and the fact that parts of his stories were never fully disappeared under scrutiny. So what was Bob Lazar? A whistleblower who revealed something too strange to prove? A skilled storyteller who attached fiction to real secrecy? A mixture of truth and invention? That question is why this case still survives. It was never fully confirmed and never fully destroyed. And in the next act, Lazar makes the claim that changed everything. Not that he worked near a secret base, but that he entered a place called S4, where 9 alien craft waited inside a mountain. What an introduction.
Yes, what an introduction.
It's a lot. It is a lot.
I mean, yeah. Again, like he's such an intelligent man. He's, done all these things, and I got to see some of them before I fell asleep last night, but you saw a lot of others. You showed us the car today. If this was just somebody who didn't have this type of background, it would be even more difficult, I think, to process this information, right?
Right.
Like if it were you and I, we're like, oh, used to work for Area 51 and saw these 9 spacecraft, people would be like, yeah, okay.
Right.
But it's interesting.
But he was the tinkerer, so the story goes that he just happened to be riding his bicycle through town as a teenager, and I'm about to sneeze.
Bless you.
Thank you kindly. So he's riding through his neighborhood as a teenager on his bicycle, and he sees a guy tinkering with a jet engine in his driveway. As simple as that. He's just building a jet engine in his driveway. And so he starts hanging out with this older guy, and he starts teaching him things about jet propulsion. And from that point forward, he starts, dipping his toes into jet propulsion. He wants to learn. This is the thing for him. Everybody's got their one thing. For me, it's zombies. I love zombies. Everything about it. The subject, everything. For Bob Lazar, it was jet propulsion. And so he started building his own jet cars. He learned to build rockets, so he built a rocket. And then he built, he was one of the early people to set land speed records in the Great Salt Lake Flats. He was doing drag races with jet engines. And as we showed you the picture, he converted his wife's car to a jet engine, which he still has today. So the foundation is there, and I think that's important because, like you said, it makes it believable that he's got a foundation that makes you believe that, yeah, this guy's into propulsion. And as we'll see later on in some of these later acts, that this is what he was brought into S4 to do, is to investigate propulsion. I'm going to do a little sidebar. It still has to do with Bob Lazar, so don't freak out because I've done like 6 or 7 so far. So Bob Lazar did his first, like we said in Act 1, he did his first interview anonymously through a local news station where they backlit him and they made him shadowy, so you couldn't see his face. But the name they gave him was Dennis in the interview. So the name Dennis was tied to him saying that he was working on alien spacecraft in Area 51. But little did people know, his handler, through the official handler through the United States government, his name was Dennis. So it was his way to shove a big middle finger into his government handler. And apparently, as soon as he finished his interview with the local news, and as soon as it was off the air, Dennis called him. And he's like, "This is not funny. You're going to get so much trouble." And I'm assuming it's going to be in some of the stuff later. But if it's not there, I will tell you all about it. But I thought it was really funny, the Dennis thing.
Yeah, that is really funny. I mean, it is funny, but also, like, I would never have that level of audacity, I guess is the closest thing I could, because I don't think I would. I don't think I would look at that situation and go, wow, whatever I have, I'm willing to lose it for the gram, essentially, right? In the modern terms, like, oh yeah, I'm gonna put Dennis's name on here because I want to add that little joke into.
So apparently, one of the
Victus, your mic's gone off.
Oh my God, I've been muted this whole time. Thank you so much. So apparently, one of the guys that was part of the post World War II, that was part of the quote unquote manned mission to the moon, which we know didn't happen. He gave a speech at Los Alamos.
Turtles,
Brussels.
turtles, huh? Potatoes. Boil them, mash them, stick them in a stew.
Thank you,
girl.
So apparently one of the developers of the V2 rocket gave a speech.
Oh, I got delayed 1 sec.
No, it's good. It's good. We got it sorted now. I really just shouldn't mute my mic at all, ever. But but no, this guy gave a speech at Area 51, which the speech was recorded for posterity, and you can find it on YouTube. And this guy said, when you find amazing things, you should share it with people. It should be part of the public knowledge. Everyone should have access to this information. And he talked for like an hour and a half about how government knowledge should be shared, despite how advanced it is. And it was that speech that gave him the spark to want to go and be a whistleblower and go talk to the news outlet folks.
Wow. Yeah, again, it's very brave. I mean, and I'm not saying necessarily that, like, I'm not making a judgment one way or the other on it, like, in general, except just to say that I don't know that I would have the courage to do something like that.
Right. Yeah, I think it's just like a perfect storm. Like, I feel like maybe the work environment was a little shitty, because the way it was described in the documentary was that his supervisors were always like hovering and like, you can't like really experiment with it, but we want you to figure out how it works. And like at one point he was playing with the gravity generator from a UFO and accidentally knocked the ceiling tile down, and him and his coworker immediately panicked, like, oh my God, they're gonna freak out. And I'm like, you knocked the ceiling tile down, what the fuck does it matter, right? But it does lend a little bit of authenticity to the environment that he was in, because if he was in a controlling environment where he was, fear was part of it, he wouldn't want to go out and talk. But if the environment is so shitty that you just want to tell everybody because it sucks, right? So I feel like that was, and then he heard the speech live, and I think the seeds of doubt were planted from that speech, and turned him into an incredible whistleblower.
Yeah, interesting. All right,
You
I'm
ready
ready to learn more.
You ready to get into Act 2?
Let's do it. Let's do it.
All right, this one's on you, girl.
All right. Act 2, Inside S4, Act 2. According to Bob Lazar, the most important part of this story did not happen at Area 51 itself. It happened at a separate installation nearby, a place he called S4. He described it as a hidden facility built into the side of the mountain near Papoose Lake, designed to remain invisible from a distance. If true, this would be the real center of the mystery. Lazar said he was recruited to work there after a previous scientific staff had struggled to understand recovered technology. His specific task, according to him, was not to build spacecraft, but to help reverse engineer their propulsion systems. This distinction mattered. He presented himself as a technician brought in to solve a problem, not the leader of some impossible project. He claimed the hiring process itself felt strange. He described extensive background checks, compartmentalized security, and being told only what he needed to know. That part of the story sounded believable to many listeners because of the real classified programs often operate exactly that way. Workers know only their section, not the whole picture. Then came the claim that changed his life. Lazar said he saw multiple non-human craft stored at S4. In some interviews, he said there were 9 vehicles. They were allegedly housed in hangars built flush into the mountainside, with doors designed to blend into the natural rock. From the air or a distance, the site would appear almost invisible. That image soon became legendary. A hidden mountain base, concealed hangars, alien craft waiting inside. It sounds like a movie now, but Lazar said this years before modern streaming documentaries and internet mythology made those visuals common. He described one craft in particular as smooth, metallic, and shaped like a disc. There were no visible rivets, welds, seams, or obvious signs of conventional manufacturing. He said it looked grown or formed as a single piece rather than assembled. Inside, he described a small interior with child-sized proportions, leading some to speculate the craft was built by beings smaller than humans. Supporters found these details persuasive because they were oddly specific. Critics argue specificity is easy to invent and often makes stories more convincing. Lazar also claimed he briefly saw documents suggesting the craft were of extraterrestrial origin. In some tellings, he said paperwork referenced beings from the Zeta Reticuli star system. Is that Reticuli? Okay, sorry. Zeta Reticuli. There we go. I did it. Okay. Critics heavily attack this point, arguing that it sounds like science fiction bleeding into testimony. Even some supporters dismiss the paperwork claims and focus instead on what he personally said he observed. Another famous detail involved security technology. Lazar described workers using a biometric hand scanner that measured bone length in the fingers and the hand. At the time, many listeners thought that he sounded too futuristic to be real. Years later, photos surfaced showing similar devices had existed in secure facilities. Supporters cite that as evidence he knew internal details. Skeptics respond that such scanners were already known in defense circles and do not prove alien spacecraft. Still, moments like this helped the legend grow. He also claimed that he was taken to observe test flights. According to Lazar, the craft would rise silently, tilt, and move in ways that conventional aircraft could not. He later brought friends into the Nevada desert to watch lights in the sky during scheduled test windows he said he knew in advance. That part of the story is one of the strongest arguments used by believers. They ask, if he knew nothing, how did he know when the unusual activity would occur? Skeptics answer with several possibilities. He may have known ordinary test schedules, seen experimental aircraft, or chosen times when the military exercises were common. The desert sky has always been full of things the public does not understand. Lazar said his time at S4 ended badly after security learned he had brought outsiders to observe tests. He claimed he was detained, interrogated, and effectively removed from the project. Soon after, he began speaking publicly. If true, public exposure would have meant self-protection. Once the story was out, harming him would create suspicion. If false, going public turned unverifiable tale into a permanent legend. Either way, it was a decisive move. One of the biggest problems with S4 is simple. No publicly verified evidence has confirmed Lazar's description of the facility as he presented it. No authenticated blueprints, employment records, internal memos, or undeniable photographs have surfaced, proving alien craft were stored inside of a mountain near Papoose Lake. For critics, that should have been the end of the discussion. For supporters, classified programs are designed to leave no easy trail. And that's why the debate never dies. Because S4 is not just a location, it is a symbol. It represents the possibility that behind every acknowledged secret lies another deeper one. It taps into the belief that governments reveal only what they must and hide what they can. Whether Lazar understood that psychology or simply lived it depends on what you think of him. There is also a practical question rarely asked. If 9 alien craft truly existed, why bring in one outsider and risk leaks at all? Would the most guarded secret in history really hinge on newly hired civilian scientists with a questionable paper trail? That criticism hits hard, but believers counter with a different point. Highly compartmentalized projects often bring in specialists for narrow tasks. If Lazar was needed only for propulsion insight, his broader background may have mattered less than his usefulness. Again, 2 explanations. That pattern never stops. What cannot be denied is this. The S4 story transformed Bob Lazar from an obscure Nevada figure into one of the most famous names in UFO history. Without S4, he is forgotten. With S4, he became part of modern mythology. And in the next act, we examine the heart of his claim, the science, because Lazar did not just say he saw the alien craft, he said he understood how they flew.
I'ma get going. Have a good stream, you too.
Bye, Shark. Thanks for joining
Thanks,
us.
Oh no, look out!
Hazel-based Bob.
Night Shark.
Have a good one, Shark. Thanks for popping in.
Night.
All right, so we've got a lot to unpack. Oh, let's roll this thing back. Let me look.
You've got the image of
Papoose
you're about
Lake.
to show us the side of the mountain, aren't you?
We're going to talk about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the place he talked about the most was a place called Papoose Lake, which was where he was taken from Area 51.
Which, for the record, has 4.1 stars on Google Maps.
It does. I'm curious. What are the reviews?
Are we losing a star for no aliens?
2 stars. Okay, it's Papoose Lake, bro. The security guard just sent me back. 5 stars. Good UFOs. Really fun to fly around in. Now I'm curious. Let's see some more. 1 star. The rude security guard didn't let me in the super secret underground tourist section. I'm gonna give that guy a thumbs up. Security guard at the front door was very rude. He said I could not enter the building without majestic clearance. Came here just to photograph recovered alien technology. Then the illegal breakaway government threatened my family. I would give 0 stars if I could. Would not be visiting again. Yeah, there's a phenomenal amount of like people just trolling here. Only 4 stars because the probe was too cold. Yeah, I'm giving these poor reviews thumbs up, by the way. I met my first wife in Area 51. My alien friend got trapped here. Hated it. 1 star. So this is Papoose Lake. This is where he said he was taken from the Grim Lake area, which I think that's it. Yeah. So here's Grim Lake. This is Area 51. So he says that when he was hired as whatever he was hired as, he was flown into Groom Lake, which is Area 51, and then he was driven over to Papoose Lake. And then once he was at Papoose Lake, he said that the hangar that held the 9 alien spacecraft is very secretly hidden into the side of Papoose Mountain, which is right here next to the lake. So this is a dry lake bed. I think this is about the part where you started falling asleep. I started showing you pictures and you were, half eyelid closed when I was showing you pictures.
I was like, I see no doors. I see no doors. And then I kind of drifted off again. And then you kind of like shook me and you're like, hey, do you see doors now?
I was like, look at this. There's doors here. Let me switch scenes here and let me queue up some pictures here. Because we do have some pictures. So this was this was brought out in the S4 documentary. Let's see. This one right here. Yeah. This is the picture. All right, so this doesn't look like much. Okay.
Especially when you're like, you've just woken up briefly, and your excited husband is like, "Oh my God, do you see the doors?
Look, there's really.
Do you see the doors?
This is an underground
Do you
base.
see them?" And I'm like, no.
All right, so this is. Before you start rolling your eyes, folks, this is one of the hillsides next to Papoose Lake. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom in here and I'm going to edit this photo live so you can see what I see. It's going to take me a second to get this.
Did you edit it last night when you woke me up the second time?
Yes.
Is that you had edited it? Okay, I didn't know if you found that somewhere else or if you'd edited it.
So I've got a couple screenshots here. So what I'm doing is I just adjusted the contrast, cranked it all the way up. This is a hillside. All right. We're just in contrast. We're going to turn the highlights up. Turn down the shadows. Now we're starting to see some stuff. All right. Look here. Do you see here? Do you see these shapes starting to appear? You see this clear line right here? All right. So I'm gonna crop this and zoom in. You see this straight edge? See this straight edge? Look, there's another one here. Straight edge, straight edge. So we've got two rectangles. Here's a third. This looks a little better in on stream. All right. This is just the tip of the iceberg. So we actually had somebody who's a professional photo like a professional photo guy, not us personally, but professional photo guy went in and edited this photo just a little bit. Do you see now? Do you see the lines? So the way he described this bunker is the doors are retractable, but they're built into the hillside next to the lake, and that they are textured in such a way that aerial photos and airplanes, helicopters, whatever flies over will not be able to see these doors. And these doors, each individual door, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and I'm assuming there's 2 more down here. Each door here, behind each door, is one of the 9 spacecrafts. All right, here we go. Next photo. This one's heavily doctored. Look, we see clear, very, very clear lines here. Now you see the lines, yes? This is something I did. All I did was adjust contrast. I may or may not have ran this through like 5 or 6 pieces of software before we landed on this. But we're very clearly seeing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and just barely 9 here. These are the secret compartments in the side of the mountain next to Papoose Lake.
So my question is, like, are there 9 garage door openers? Or is 1 garage door opener?
There are 0 garage door openers because you don't want to accidentally open it from the outside.
Yeah.
So the story goes, touching back on some of the stuff we talked about in Act 2, the first time he was taken to S4, his hand was scanned. So there was a very strange mechanism, and they said, put your hand on there. It'll show you how to spread your fingers. And the security clearance is you put your hand on this panel, and it does a quick X-ray, and it measures the length of the finger bones in your hand. And upon scanning your hand bones, it pushes out your ID. Instead of you putting one in, it gives you your ID, because now that it knows who you are. So he goes to this facility, scans his hand, out pops an ID. And at the bottom of the ID, there's a list of 5 different facilities. And on top of S4, there's a star-shaped punch for his ID badge. So which only gives him clearance for S4. So he goes to this facility, and once he goes in, the first time he goes in, one of the doors are open, and famously he sees what he has coined the sport model, which is the thinnest, the sleekest looking, fastest looking UFO in all of the hangars. When I say sport model, this is the traditional idea of what you think about when you think of UFOs. This is pretty close to the sport model. Pretty close. All right. The basic concept is 2 plates on top of each other, and that's it. Pretty much what we got here. That's the sport model. It was the sleekest, the most narrow, the smallest, the thinnest that they had. And it's like with cars, because he does have a background with cars, is, a sport model was going to be the more aerodynamic of the bunch. So he walks in, and he, like, I'm sure this is what I would do too, he runs his hand over the UFO, and he was immediately reprimanded for it and then taken back to his lab. So he goes back to the lab, and he's introduced to another scientist, and the scientist is ecstatic to see him, right? He says, I've been by myself for so long now that the last guy died. Well, come to find out, they've got the propulsion system removed from the sport model in the lab there with him. So there's a large black cylinder a black rectangular box, and then like a flat square with a semicircular dome on top of it. And these are the three pieces of the gravity propulsion from the sport model. So he says, here, let me show you how this works. So he goes to the black cylinder. He rotates it clockwise because it's laying sideways. He rotates it clockwise, and he says, try to touch the semicircular shape on top of that drive right there. And Bob Lazar tries to put his hands on top of the semicircle, and he can't. He can't physically touch it because upon rotation of the drive, it makes this thing produce negative gravity. So he can't touch it. So he rotates it counterclockwise. He does now touch it. And he's able to put his hands on it. So apparently, the square piece with the round shape in the middle, the semicircle shape in the middle, is the thing that produces gravity. The black rectangular shape sitting on the ground is the amplifier, and the black cylindrical object that he rotated is the generator. So manipulate one, goes through the other, and affects the third. However, this is 1989. Wireless connections are completely unheard of, aside from TV radio. So he is completely blown away, right? So the scientist that's worked with him, he says, well, check this out. So he lights a candle, sets it on top of the square piece with the semicircular shape on top of it, turns the cylindrical object, which should activate the gravity field, and the flame stops flickering. The flame is completely still. It's burning, but not burning. It's not melting the wax, but it's clearly still burning. So he tries blowing on it. It's not moving the flame. And he's like, this is the basic concept of what we're working with here. This is a gravity field. This is how these crafts propel themselves. They create gravity to push and pull in different directions. And that's how he explained it to him later. He says, these crafts aren't flying. They're creating negative gravity. So like say if you want to propel yourself forward, what it does is it rotates these generators to produce negative gravity in front of the craft. So the craft is technically falling in that direction. But then you manipulate it. You want it to fall, you want to go forward, so you make it think you're falling forward. So you turn it, now the craft wants to follow gravity. I say simple physics. It is not simple physics. Y'all go out and watch the S4 documentary. Miss you. It is wild. He fully explains it. He has a full replication of what he saw inside the lab. And remember I told you that the scientist that was in the lab with him was ecstatic to see him because the previous guy died? Well, come to find out, they took an angle grinder to the generator to cut it open, and it exploded. It killed like 23 people inside the lab.
Wow.
Because they didn't know how it worked. So go and watch the S4 documentary, and you'll see kind of what we're talking about here, because there's so much to explain that I just, I only saw it in passing just once, last night. So it's important to understand that I am not fully articulating what he saw. There's no way I can fully explain it. I've only seen it once, and I'm trying my best to explain it. However, I do this because if you go to work every single day and you see the same thing every single day, you can explain it. And I feel like this lends credibility to Bob Lazar because he explains things that just seeing once or twice, I can't explain it. It is absolutely wild.
Well, Yeah, I mean, and that's kind of going back to what we talked about at the beginning. Like, when you listen to him talk, you know that he knows his stuff, right? But this other component of I've seen alien spacecraft and it's all real and blah, 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 is hard for us to wrap our heads around. Especially, well, it's not hard for you, but it's hard for us skeptics to wrap our heads around still. And so it's really an interesting experience for the brain to watch that documentary. Like,
Yeah.
if I had watched it earlier in the day, I think it would have been a lot different.
Yeah.
But I think because I was so tired and I was already, like I just said, okay, I can't do this. So I don't have enough active intelligence happening right now to handle this situation.
Well, let's broach one more subject before we move on. So Bob Lazar, when he did his whistleblower interview with the local news station, they brought in investigative journalist who today is one of the hosts of Coast to Coast AM, which, I talked about it last night. George Knapp. Is it Nori or Knapp? Nori is the original host. Knapp is the new guy. So Knapp was a local investigative journalist. And he's the guy that did the interview with Bob Lazar. And so he started digging. And he's like, I really want to do my best to try to do, my ethical duty to verify these statements and these claims. So he calls around. And, we talked about this in Act 1, but MIT said that he didn't exist. California Institute of Technology says he didn't exist. So he calls Groom Lake. He says, well, does S4 exist? It's like, yeah, well, what do you do out there? He's like, well, we can't tell you. Okay, well, I've got a guy named Bob Lazar. Can you verify that he worked for you? Yeah, well, give me a couple days and I'll pull employment records and I'll call back in a couple days and I'll talk to you about it. So he calls back, no one answers. He calls back, no one answers. Calls back, no one answers. Over and over again, this happens. And finally, a month later, George gets through and he says, and they tell George, he says, we've got no record of a Bob Lazar working for any government facility. Are you ready for some evidence?
I am always ready for evidence.
All right.
Always ready for
So
evidence.
this is where things get crazy. Because immediately after he was told that Bob Lazar doesn't work for the government, George was able to get his hands on the Groom Lake directory phone book. So I'm telling my age here. Back in the day,
You
back-
used to get phone books delivered to your front doorstep.
yeah, back in the day,
Everybody had one.
everybody had a phone book. So back in the day, you'd get a phone book like 3 times a year, 4 times a year.
It was pretty often, yeah.
Uh,
It was the coolest piece of mail too, because I remember seeing it come in. For my grandparents, they've had a post office box like forever, right? I mean, like decades. And it would come to the post office for them. And she had to usually go and get it out of like one of the special boxes because it was so big. And she
Yeah.
had a book. And I was like, this is the coolest thing. Because now, mind you, this is before Amazon started sending books through the mail.
yeah.
And so it was like, oh, you got a book in the mail. How cool, But yeah, that and the TV guide, those were the things.
Oh, the TV guide was great.
Yeah, those are the things. That one you bought at the store, but those were great.
So when it comes to, hold on, I'm about to sneeze. Excuse me. All right, so when it comes to a facility as large as Groom Lake, which is a government facility with, 4 or 5 runways, the facility is so large that it requires a phone book to organize everybody because Groom Lake has multiple arms of that facility. So in order to call the right person, you have to know the specific number to call, which it's like calling somebody in your local area. Well, you want to know who lives on Willow Street. Well, you look on Willow Street, whatever, see who's in the phone book. Y'all don't understand. If y'all didn't grow up the way we did, phone books were like 4 inches thick. All right. So for a government facility, you're looking at like at least an inch thick of like onion skin thin pieces of paper. You're looking at probably a couple thousand different phone numbers. All right. Well, George was able to get his hands on the Groom Lake phone book. Are you ready to see the phone book page that I pulled?
Yes, I bet it has a 3-letter name. Well, he might have Robert instead of Bob. Yeah, Robert.
Here we go. Robert Lazar. Smack dab in the middle. So we have proof that he was there long enough to be given his own phone number. Well, like a subdirectory. So this is a extension of the official Grim Lake phone number. But that's not all. We've got more. We got much more. Let me switch back one more time. You ready for my huge piece of it? I know you've seen the title. That's why you started laughing.
I have. Plus, I've seen enough of those in my lifetime to know what the tiny picture is, too.
It took some doing to find this picture. But I will say the important information is redacted. So we're not doxing anybody here, but submitted to you for the approval of the Midnight Society. This is Robert Lazar's W-2 from the United States Department of Naval Intelligence in Washington, D.C.
I just don't know that, like, waitress tips and other compensation, $958.11.
Well,
I mean, I know the time period that they made less money in the course of, but I don't know that I believe that it's $958.
could have been a partial year.
Maybe.
We've got his W-2 from 1989, which is the year he was hired, so it would have been a partial year.
Let's find out.
That's funny. Here she goes. She busts out the phone. This is my favorite piece of evidence so far. We have his damn W-2 from the Department of Naval Intelligence. This is the way they do things. They'll cut you a check according, they compartmentalize. This is how they keep things compartmentalized, is you're technically getting a check from the Department of Naval Intelligence, but you work for a subsection of the government.
Okay.
Go.
Average annual salary in the United States in 1989 was approximately $20,099.55. Other sources indicate a median individual income of roughly $16,000 to $18,000.
So kind of low compared to today. But this is his official W-2. People weren't really faking tax documents. So that W-2 was part of a FOIA request in the late 90s, early 2000s, when Bob Lazar was really under scrutiny about his whistleblowing efforts. Because you can't... Let me put it this way. It is a federal crime to fake a W-2. And Bob Lazar is yet to go to jail for anything.
Okay. I'm not saying Bob Lazar faked that W-2 image. I just don't know if someone on the internet created that.
It's part of a FOIA request. It came from the government.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
you trust your government as much as you want, but
I don't know.
I thought that was a great piece of evidence.
It is a great piece of evidence. It's just the $958 was really throwing me off for some reason. But you're right, it could be part.
It could be.
a part year.
Prove
Yeah.
it's wrong. Prove it's fake.
Prove it's real.
I just showed you. You see where we're at now. You see, this is the crux. Oh, geez. All right, then. Well, let's dive.
I think we're probably gonna have to break this one in half.
Yeah.
I think we can do one more act maybe, but we might have to
Yeah,
save
so-
4 and 5 for.
So let's do Act 3. And then we'll do 4 and 5, and then the breakdown next week, and we'll see if I can come up with some more evidence that will that is enough for your high standards.
Oh my goodness. I think the evidence I would need, honestly, which is just kind of wild because it would never happen, is I would need to like go there and see it for myself.
That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen.
No, it's not. For many reasons. One of which being I like my life and my intact body.
Yeah. Because they will shoot first and ask questions later. Yeah, that's how they operate. Okay. Well, let's dig into Act 3. Let me see what we're going to look at in Act 3 here. Okay. This is a lot. All right. All right, we're going to do Act 3, and then we're going to get into some minor premature closing statements. And we're definitely going to make this into a part 2 because we are already running at an hour and 51 minutes. Yeah, so I think this is going to be a 2-parter, folks. Since 3 seasons, this is the second one. There's a lot to take in here. There is a lot. All right, well, let's get into Act 3, the science of the impossible. Now that y'all have heard me ramble for so long about secret trapdoors, are you ready? Are you sure you're ready?
I am so ready.
All right,
Born ready.
because we're about to get scientific.
Born the same year all this stuff happened. I'm born ready for this.
So you're paranormally ready.
I'm paranormally ready. This story is as old as me.
You'll understand when you're older. All right, folks, let's get into Act 3. This is Act 3, everybody. The science of the impossible. So if the story of S4 made Bob Lazar famous, his explanation of how the craft supposedly work made him unforgettable. Many people can tell a strange story, fewer try to explain the mechanics behind it. Lazar did not simply say he saw alien technology, he claimed he studied the propulsion system and understood part of what made it function. That gave his story the weight. That gave his story weight with some listeners. Technical language can feel more believable than mystery alone, but it also created a problem. Once you make scientific claims, those claims can be tested. And according to Lazar, the craft used a reactor-powered element 115, a material unknown to the public at the time. He said this element was used to generate immense energy, create a gravitational effect. Rather than flying like an airplane with thrust, wings, or jets, the craft supposedly manipulated gravity itself. I'm going to read this string of very complicated... Oh, geez, you know what? Let's just, I'm going to put this on screen so everybody can see it, because I don't know how to read this. Oh, yeah, it's way too big. Hold on. Hold the phone. So, so this is his equation. The lack of a better word. He described the vehicle as bending space in front of it, allowing it to fall toward its destination rather than pushing it through air. In simple terms, the craft would move the destination closer instead of traveling normally. I don't even know what this. So force equals gravity times mass 1 times mass 2, radius 2. Force equals gravity divided by force, refraction, mass. I'm losing it. Yeah, there's a lot. It's a lot. Yeah, we're gonna get rid of that. So that concept fascinated audiences because it sounded advanced without sounding magical. It echoed real science ideas people had heard in simplified forms: gravity fields, space-time, relativity, bending space. It felt close enough to science to seem possible, while far enough beyond current engineering to remain mysterious. Lazar said the craft had 3 gravity amplifiers underneath it. When used for short-range movement, one amplifier would point downward for hovering or local travel. For longer distances, the craft would rotate and point all 3 toward the destination. He also described the now famous belly-first flight mode, where the saucer would tip forward and move with the bottom facing its target. Supporters often note that this detail resembles later military and civilian reports of strange objects tilting before accelerating. Critics counter that the saucer imagery and unusual movement descriptions were already part of UFO culture long before Lazar spoke publicly. Then there was Element 115. Years after Lazar first mentioned it, scientists officially synthesized Element 115 in a laboratory. It is now known as Moscovium. Supporters often point to this as one of the strongest hits. They say that he named an element before the world officially recognized it. Skeptics answered quickly. Scientists had long predicted that heavier elements beyond uranium would eventually be discovered. Mentioning a future element number was not prophetic, it was consistent with the known periodic table, and that criticism is fair. The stronger version of Lazar's claim was not that element 115 would exist, it was that a stable isotope of it existed naturally or had been produced elsewhere, and could power extraordinary technology. The form created on Earth decays rapidly and has shown no alien-level propulsion properties. For critics, that is devastating. For supporters, the synthesized version may simply be the wrong isotope. So for clarity's sake, I'm going to say that the piece of element 115 that he said that he put his hands on was large. It was, 2 inches wide and then came to a point, triangle shaped. To this day, we can only produce element 115 on a molecular scale. Very, very, very small, 2 or 3 molecules, and they degrade so fast that it's impossible to make something that you can hold. And again, the same pattern returns. Lazar also claimed that the reactor converted matter directly into usable energy with extreme efficiency. He described output far beyond anything conventional nuclear technology could safely provide. To engineers and physicists, these descriptions often raised immediate red flags. Extraordinary energy systems leave measurable heat, radiation, shielding requirements, and engineering consequences. His explanations, critics say, were often vague when precision mattered most. And that does not automatically mean fraud. It could mean compartmentalized knowledge, misunderstanding, memory limits, or simplified explanations for the public. But it remains a serious weakness. Another issue is terminology. Over the years, some scientists argue that Lazar mixed real physics words with speculative leaps. Terms like gravity waves, amplifiers, and reactors sounded impressive, but did not align cleanly with the established theory of engineering language. To skeptics, it resembled someone who knew enough science vocabulary to sound convincing. To believers, it sounded like someone trying to describe technology beyond current human frameworks. Both sides hear what they expect. One reason the science debate still matters is because Lazar did something many witnesses avoid. He gave details that could be challenged. And most paranormal stories survive because they stay vague. Lazar had diagrams, described components, proposed mechanisms, and that opened them to criticism, but it also made the story richer. If he had only said, quote, "I saw a craft," then the legend might have faded. Instead, he said, quote, "Here's how it worked." That kept people listening. There is also the emotional side of the technical claims. Many people want the universe to be understandable, and Lazar offered a version of mystery that still obeyed logic. The craft was not powered by magic crystals or psychic chanting. It was machinery, advanced, yes, but still machinery. And that appealed to modern audiences. It suggests the unknown can eventually the unknown can eventually become known. Still, hard evidence remains absent. No sample of stable element 115 had been produced publicly, and no verified component from Lazar's described reactor exists. No independent lab has confirmed a gravity amplifying device like the one he outlined. So where does that leave us? His science claims sits in the same gray zone as the rest of his story. Intriguing enough to survive, but unproven enough to divide people. And there is one more uncomfortable truth. Even if every technical explanation Lazar gave were wrong, it would not automatically prove he never saw anything unusual. And witnesses can understand real phenomena. People can observe something extraordinary and explain it badly. And likewise, even if parts of his theory sound imaginative, that does not make the core of this story true. Case resists simple conclusions. And in the next act, which we're going to cover next week, we move away from the engines and elements into the battlefield that matters most, credibility. Because the biggest mystery may not be how the craft flew. It may be whether Bob Lazar ever belonged at S4 at all.
So 2 things about that.
Go ahead.
1, earlier I talked about how smart he sounds when he talks and all that stuff, right? So as part of my daily job, one of the things I do is I talk to people about what they do. And I talk to a variety of people about what they do in all different backgrounds, from, you know, just your blue collar to the people who study different things. And I don't always know exactly what they're talking about. So I have to get them to give me more detail in order to better understand and articulate them. Yeah. And the thing is, like, I say that as someone who just finished a master's degree. Like, there are, in a specific subject, right? So, like, there are things in the business world that I might be able to articulate. There are things in, you know, the English literature world I might be able to articulate. But if someone said, and someone has before, people have asked me, what does your husband do every day? I say he installs electronics on boats and he works on boats. But if I had to, like, under pressure, talk about the mechanisms that you work with every day, I would not be able to do it, even though you've told me, because that doesn't stick in my head unless I'm physically doing it.
Right.
So when I say all this to say, when Bob Lazar is talking, he's talking about these things, and he might not actually accurately be, like they're saying here, depicting these scientists, like that are listening to him, are saying he's not exactly explaining it correctly, and that might be true. but someone like me can hear it and go, oh my gosh, he's so smart. He knows what he's talking about. I fully believe him because I don't see those intricacies because I'm not part of that world. So that's the first thing I want to say.
Yeah.
The second thing I want to say is that if this were true and this were actually alien spacecraft, wouldn't it be possible that it would work differently than what those other scientists are accustomed to?
Yeah.
So, I mean, you could see two different
So your argument is
sides
to the
of
positive.
the story.
The affirmative, yes?
The argument is, while I can see the critic's argument in this case, I can also understand the other side of it. I'm not saying I believe it. I'm saying I understand the other side of it.
I see which way you're leaning.
I'm not saying I believe it. I just do see. I see the other side of the argument too. I do. Yeah, because I see both sides. I see that side, and then I also see, like, the average person like me could easily be fooled into thinking this is legitimate too, because I listen to him speak and I go, wow, that guy really knows his stuff. He's got to definitely be like on it, right? But the reality is I don't know my stuff, you know? So it could I see either side.
I'm going to put that equation into ChatGPT and see what it says.
Hi, Puppy Chat. Do you know about our latest redemption?
Vic muted.
Oh, geez. Yeah, Puppy Chat is here, everybody. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, I mute when she's talking. Yeah. Puppy Chat is here, everybody. I saw that they popped in. Welcome, Puppy Chat. Do you know about our new redemption? All right, so I'm gonna I pumped this formula that was given to us, which is the formula that Bob Lazar gave us about the gravity drive, into ChatGPT. Here's what ChatGPT says. This is Newton's law of universal gravitation, which describes the gravitational force between any two objects with mass. Geez, yeah. So F equals G over M1, M2 divided by R2, which means F equals gravitational force between two objects measured in newtons. G equals gravity, the constant, a tiny fixed number that determines the strength of gravity in the universe, approximately 6.674 times 10 to the negative 11. M1 equals mass of object 1, M2 equals the mass of object 2, R equals the distance between the centers of two objects. The bigger masses equals stronger gravity. If either mass increases, the force increases. Example, Earth is much stronger gravity than a small asteroid because Earth has far more mass. 2, more distance equals weaker gravity.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Distance is squared in...
I knew that.
I knew you did. Yeah. Distance is squared in the denominator, R2, so gravity drops fast as objects move apart. Double the distance equals force becomes 1/4. Triple the distance, force becomes 1/9. Oh, geez. Yeah, it showed the same force causing an apple to fall also keeps the moon orbiting Earth and planets orbiting the sun. In everyday objects in the universe, pulls on every other object, the pull gets stronger with more mass and weaker with more distance. So we
I don't know that I learned anything.
it really
I
think it more confused us than explained anything.
It must be the ashwagandha tea. I don't think my brain is right.
It might be the beers. Jeez. Between your tea and my beers.
My brain is like the little man who lives in my brain is like nestled down in the little pajamas, and there's like the little sleep hat, the cartoonish sleep hat. He's like, okay, whatever, yep,
Yeah,
sure.
that sounds great. Geez,
And you
yeah.
know it's a little old man too, right? Like it's a little old man with a really big mustache.
I think it's the physics.
Yeah, the physics of it just. So I did study a little bit of physics in high school, but that shit was so far beyond me that I was only able to pick out like a third of the symbols. Geez, that's a lot. That is a lot. I don't know that I read it. I couldn't repeat it. Whereas Bob Lazar probably whacks it poetically. Repetition is the key to retention. So yeah, I think we're gonna stop there for the night.
I think we should. Maybe I won't have my tea next week before the podcast.
Or have your tea next week. Next week, our brains will be fresh and we'll be ready. We've already been going for just over 2 hours now, so yeah, that's a lot to take in. I will say that I do recommend anybody watching tonight, if you really want to catch on to what we're talking about, go and watch the S4 documentary, S4, the Bob Lazar story. Go watch it. It's incredible. There's so much information there. If you're anything like me, you're just going to absorb most of it. The small things like the mathematical equations are going to fall through the cracks, but he does explain things a lot better than I can.
Certainly better than I can.
And, again, I think that's part of it, lends partially to his authenticity, is he's explained it many, many, many times because he understands it. I consider myself a smart individual. However, I have trouble explaining this. Go and watch the S4 documentary, please. And this will sink like this with this investigation. Yeah. You see it? Because I see it. S4. This investigation in S4 right here. Go out and watch it, and then next week when we come back for part 2 of the Bob Lazar investigation, we're going to go through Act 4, Act 5. We're going to have our closing monologue. We're going to have closing statements.
Woo.
Yeah, it's going to be crazy. So we've got, and it gives me a week to dig up some more evidence because, as you know, this podcast thrives on evidence. So we'll give you a little teaser, a little tiny teaser. Act 4 is called The War Over Credibility, and Act 5 is titled Why Bob Lazar Still Matters. So there's a couple things for you guys to think about until next Sunday when we wrap this investigation up. And
Hazel has to be holding that tax slip in her hands.
I know, I do. I have to be. Like postmarked from the government. This little envelope.
FOIA requests take months. Like there's so many times where I'm doing research.
Can you imagine getting a FOIA request from two people doing a podcast about paranormal activity? Oh my gosh, from their second bedroom in their home.
Yeah. So there's like true crime podcasts out there. Shout out Crime Junkie, one of my favorite true crime podcasts. They get their FOIA requests in weeks. Whereas if I were to FOIA the government, I think like the baseline for FOIA requests is like 16 to 32 months.
I think they'd totally send that to you though, because they probably like have somebody drive by our house just to be like, okay, what's going on? And then they'd drive through our neighborhood and be like, yeah, this is no big deal. Let's just
Oh no, this guy is not dangerous. Go ahead, you send it. Yeah. Yeah, that's there's been a piece of me since season 1 that has wanted to do FOIA requests, but it does cost money because, the government, you've got to pay like 30 cents a page. And a lot of the documents that you request are like 400 or 500 pages. So you've got you gotta pay a lot of money. So, like $120 for like a 400 something document page, or 400 something page document. The government does not do 2 or 3 pages documents. It's very thorough, very, very thorough. Even the digital versions of the FOIA requests still cost like 20 cents a page. That's a lot of money, and we are broke ass.
We are indeed.
So FOIA requests aren't going to happen. You're not going to have that sweet little W-2 in your hands next weekend. You say that, but maybe I'll just print it off.
I totally got this in 5 days.
Well, all right, folks. We're going to wrap this thing up. Next week, we're going to do part 2 of the Bob Lazar investigation. Since we're not doing a closing monologue, what are your thoughts so far?
Thanks for the stream, guys.
Thank
Always
you,
lovely to hang
Worlds.
with
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you,
Thanks for hanging
Worlds.
out with us. Yeah, no, I still just don't know. I mean, I don't think that it's legitimate. But, you know, maybe you can show me next week that it is.
We need to finish S4.
Yeah, maybe that's the thing. Yeah, but we're going to have to start it earlier in the day or something, because
Yeah.
I definitely go to bed at 8. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, all right, folks. Thanks everybody for being here tonight. We're gonna wrap this thing up, and next week we are going to do part 2 of the Bob Lazar story, the man who exposed Area 51. We didn't plan for this to be a 2-parter,
Night-night.
but that's the way it goes. So glad everybody was here tonight. Thank you all you watching in YouTube land. I see you guys over there. Y'all are welcome to type into chat, because the text to chat does work while we're streaming.
Yes, we found that out when we had to ban someone a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
But
We did.
Have a great week.
you too, Worlds. Can't wait to see you next week.
So I'm going to close out the way we usually do. If anybody has a paranormal case or claim, or a suggestion for a future episode, feel free to email us at beyondshadowspodcast@gmail.com. Make sure you guys hit that like button and that follow, subscribe button on YouTube. It helps us out a lot, because our home platform is YouTube and Twitch. So if you're enjoying this, come over to Twitch and interact with the stream in fun ways. We've got tons of user redemptions, things that you can do to interact with the stream. If you guys are watching on Kick, y'all are welcome to come over to Twitch, where we have text to chat, and you guys can actually interact with the stream, because I'm not actively watching Kick, which I see we got a bot over there. But thank you everybody for being here tonight. Next week, we're going to wrap up this investigation about Bob Lazar, decide for fact and officially whether or not this guy is really talking the truth, or if he's bringing something paranormal, or just been lying through his teeth since 1989. Thank you everybody for being here tonight. I think that's all I've got. I don't know what to do with my hands, because I don't have a closing monologue or something spooky to say. Thanks everybody for being here tonight.
Thank you so much.
We will see everybody next week, where we will conclude the Bob Lazar investigation. Thanks everyone. We'll see y'all next week. Stay spooky, everybody.
Creature like that, how would it ever die?
And this monster starts running right at me.
Annihilated by nuclear bombs. Beast is not dead. I put 4 bullets into him. Oh, you're crazy.
But I saw that monster too. All I want is for someone to believe me.
Contaminated.
Face. Horrible. Looked like it would scare you to death.
All right, let's get to work.